Aloha. I'm Representative Cynthia Thielen. I represent Kailua Kaneohe Bay, and I'm here today to put on a very good program for the viewers with some wonderful experts in the area that we're going to be discussing.
Hi, I'm Leah Marx, the Executive Director at Mothers Against Drunk Driving here in Hawaii.
And I'm Arkie Koehl. I'm a volunteer for Mothers Against Drunk Driving and chairman of the Public Policy Committee.
Leah, can you tell our viewers briefly, what is MADD?
Sure. Mothers Against Drunk Driving was started well over 25 years ago on a national level, and 25 years ago, almost to the day, here in Hawaii. And so it's an organization that started up because a woman lost her daughter to a drunk driving crash. And so she got involved and wanted to bring issue and light to the subject of drunk driving and how dangerous it is and how many lives it does take every single year.
So it's MADD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
Yes.
25 years old and still on the move.
That's right.
And could you tell me why we need a new drunk driving law now after 25 years?
Well, unfortunately, drunk driving began to take an immediate downward slope when MADD first started. People started to recognize what a problem it was and really started to take action. And the numbers started to decrease, which was great. Unfortunately, in the last 5 years or so, we've seen a steady plateau, and there's no longer a drop in the number of drunk driving deaths in the country as well as locally. And so it became evident that what we were doing in the past wasn't working. And so the reality is that we need to begin doing things that are different. So as the graph shows up there, that our numbers are going up and down, but they don't continuously go down, and that's a challenge for us.
So possibly using the technology that we didn't have 25
Absolutely.
years ago. So that's what this is all about at this point?
Absolutely. The recent establishment of interlock laws, ignition interlock.
Now, slow on there. Interlock
Sure.
laws. What is an interlock law?
Sure, I can explain. I actually have one right here that I can show you. This is an ignition interlock. And what it is...
We'll move your water out of the way and then...
what it is, it's a device that is attached to the ignition system of a vehicle. So this device is attached to the ignition system behind the dash. And then this mouthpiece comes out, and what happens is someone has to blow into it, into this device right here. It tests the blood alcohol level to see whether or not you have alcohol in your system, and if you do, the car will not start. If you don't, the car will start successfully. And so this law was put into place for people who have driven impaired and proved that they cannot drive safe and sober. So the idea is put this in their vehicles so that way that they can continue to drive, continue to go to work, continue to do those things that will help support their family and that sort of thing, but we know that they're not driving drunk.
Okay, so this is for the driver, and actually the driver, before the driver can start the car, the driver has to blow into
Yes.
this. If there's alcohol in that driver's system, then...
The vehicle will not start. It'll monitor it in here, and the computer in here will not allow the ignition system to turn over or the vehicle to start.
Arkie, can you tell us, there's a law bill before the legislature. There's also an existing law in place. Maybe if you could give the viewers a little more information on that.
Certainly, Representative. Last year, in the 2008 legislative session, both the Senate and the House of Representatives unanimously passed the bill that became Act 171, the Hawaii Ignition Interlock Bill. And the bill, the Act 171, calls for installation of ignition interlock in the cars of all, it mandated for all DUI arrestees.
Now, tell the viewers what a DUI.
DUI is driving under the influence. Legally, it's called an OVUII, which means operating a vehicle under the influence of an intoxicant. But everybody in the country and everybody in the world still calls it a DUI or a DWI, depending on what state you're from. If you get arrested for a DWI, you will have to pay to have one of these devices installed. We'll talk about that a little later, and for a certain period of time. If it's your first offense, it'll be for a year. If it's your second offense, it'll be for 2 years. Third offense, it'll be for 3 years. Second offense, 18 months. Third offense, 2 years, sorry. And during that time, you'll have to you will have to drive. You will have to show that you are driving safely without alcohol in your system. There will be a small camera on the windshield or the dashboard, a digital camera synchronized to the computer, so that when you push and start to blow, it takes a picture of whoever's doing that blowing.
Well, now that is going to answer a question that I'm sure viewers would have, because I was wondering, Arkie, I mean, what's to stop someone from having someone else come in and blow in this, someone that hasn't had anything to drink?
Well, the camera's one thing, key thing. Leah, who actually had one of these devices installed and drove around for half of last year with it, showing the press and showing it off to people how it worked. She didn't need it, of course. She has had a lot of experience, and she can explain better about the retest.
Well, let me back you up again, because the viewers are going to want to know what bill is before the legislature, or what bills, and one will be on the House side, one on the Senate side, and how can people weigh in and how can they help?
It's a very good point.
So
I should have mentioned that.
Talk actually about what the legislation will do, where it is in the system.
Okay.
Here at
The law that passed last year, Act 171, set the broad strokes, the framework for interlock. Interlock is going to take a while to implement, is not supposed to be implemented till 2010 or the beginning of 2011, because it takes that long to gear up for it. It's rather complex. So what Act 171 called for was a task force to work out the details during last year and to put those details into a new bill to amend Act 171 and fill some of the pukas and the unknowns, some of the details that need to be filled in. That bill in the House is House Bill 981 and is currently been passed out of the Transportation Committee, and the Judiciary Committee is working on a draft incorporating some of the testimony of various groups who have examined Act 171 and HB 981.
Now give the viewers that number again, because that's the bill that they should watch, and I hope they will weigh in support.
Absolutely. It's HB 981, and if you will get in touch with your representative, please, we need your support, and just let them know that keep this thing going forward, so that by 2011 at the latest, this life-saving device will be installed in the cars of drunk drivers